Thank you very much, everybody, and thank you very much, first of all, John and Mary, for organizing this webinar and for inviting me to talk about the use of rehab technology to enhance treatment in people with multiple sclerosis. And we're going to go through acute, community, and home-based settings. So we're just going to see what can be used in different settings. Like Mary said before, many of you have known me from my work in MS Society in Galway. As a senior physiotherapist there since last year, September last year. I've been working as a clinical specialist physio in Linker, and one of my main roles here is education and implementation of advanced technologies within the Irish health system. So today I would love to share with you my knowledge, my experience about a broad spectrum of non-low-tech and high-tech technologies or solutions that can be available for people with multiple sclerosis, but also for people with other conditions. We will go through this webinar through very maybe kind of simple off-shelf devices which can be used without physio, without OT, can be used at home, to maybe more complex technological solutions that you can use in the community center or in MS Society, and you need to have, for some of these technologies, help of a healthcare professional, or you need to be trained how to use it. So generally the aim of this webinar is to talk to you about current knowledge about current evidence for technological solutions, and also to show you different assistive technologies, starting from kind of orthotics, moving towards more assistive technology and more complex technologies. And like Mary said before, that I will talk for a while and then maybe we'll just pause. And if you have any questions around that area, I'd be happy to answer. If you have more detailed questions, if you want more information, you can always link with me and link with Linker, or we may answer some of these questions at the end of that webinar. So we're gonna start with what is assistive technology. So this is any item, any piece of equipment, any product system, whether acquired commercially off the shelf, modified or customized, that is used to increase, maintain, or improve functional capabilities of individuals with different disabilities. So we have different devices that will fall under that umbrella. So when you look at that kind of slide, you can see a very simple kind of technologies frame, like a rollator. We can move to more advanced, like a Motomed, which is a motorized bike, or dictus splint, and even going further to things like FES systems, Saebo products with electrical stimulation, or we may end up with things like exoskeleton suit, which is really high-tech assistive technology, or the Molly suit that I will be talking to you about today as well. So a very broad spectrum of different devices that you can use to help you with rehabilitation. Now, the question is, why do we need assistive technology? I think that many people would say, I prefer my physio to do everything with me. I would like to access my classes, and I completely agree with you. Assistive technology is just to augment rehabilitation. It's not to replace your physio. It's not to kind of take away from us, from OT, from physios, all the work that we need to do with you. But you know that in Ireland, there is kind of a difficulty to access physiotherapy. There is a very long waiting list, you know, to be seen by physio in the community. You have kind of lack of specialized treatment and physios in the community. My colleagues, they're very great. They do tremendous work, but they have to see everybody in the community. So they have to have a knowledge about every condition. So they cannot really specialize in MS or cannot really specialize in neuro. And now we live in unprecedented time when, with the COVID-19, that we all stuck at home, that we cannot exercise, we cannot go to our classes. So I think assistive technology can be very, very helpful when we are at home and we need exercises. I completely agree that you have to exercise your muscle doing exercises prescribed by physio, or exercise you are doing in the classes. But very often you cannot do the same intensity. You cannot do some exercises because your leg is too weak, because your arm is too impaired. So you need assistive technology to help you with these exercises. What else I want to mention here: to really achieve successful therapy, you need three major key drivers or factors. This is kind of intensity, this is a dosage of therapy, and motivation. So you really need to repeat exercises a lot of times. It's not only once a week. You will maintain some improvements, or you will maintain your health if you do once a week. But if you do more times, if you do exercise at the higher level, then you definitely get better benefit of that. And assistive technology can help with that. You can imagine that you are finding difficult to lift your leg up and clear the ground or clear the step. If you don't have any assistive technology to help you with that, you will be struggling. You will not be doing the right thing. You'll be trying to lift this leg not correctly. But if you have a dictus splint or Saebo step, or if you're using FES system, it makes it much easier, and you can do more repetitions, so you can be motivated, and you can also kind of be on track to get better, because you will see that you're getting better. So this is really important, that assistive technology can augment rehabilitation and can allow, I would say, the exercise continuity after being discharged from hospital or community center. Assistive technology very often can very objectively and precisely measure the improvement. So you can see how you've been at the very beginning and how you progress, how you change after a while of doing something with the help of assistive technology. So you can monitor your improvement. So that's really, really important. Now, what we're going to talk is a little bit about the evidence for technology, because a lot of my colleagues and also you will ask, but is it really worth it? Is there any evidence? Is there anything that supports the use of technology? So there are many, many papers talking about the benefits of using technology. I chose a couple of different papers. I know it's a busy slide, but just stay with me for a moment and just have a look at the slide and see these are the key results from some recent studies about using technology. So the first study is looking at the use of robot-assisted gait training in multiple sclerosis. So we have a study published in 2018, and authors found that robot-assisted gait training was feasible. So people were able to really do the training with the robots, and also it might be an effective therapeutic option in people with different level of disability in MS. Another paper very recently published by Jenny Freeman, Professor Jenny Freeman from England, talking about using standing frame protocols or programs. So again, this is assistive technology. This is something that we have at homes and we often use it. But she looked at home use, or using the standing frames at home. And she also found that it is really beneficial, and it significantly increased motor function in people with severe progressive MS. So very often we think about assistive technology for somebody who can walk, who can move, but this is for somebody who is really, really sick and not able to move at all at home. And again, standing frame seems to be well researched, and we have evidence that it's beneficial for people with MS. You know me that I've been working a lot with functional electrical stimulation, and I think now when I research that area, we have around 70 clinical trials looking at the benefits of using FES technology. And we have qualitative papers, quantitative papers, so looking at people's perception of FES, but also measuring different things after using FES. So for those who don't know what FES is, it's a functional electrical stimulation device that is placed around your leg or arm that delivers electrical stimulation to contract your muscles and help with functional movements. So it's not like putting just electrical stimulation on your hand, it's linked with functional tasks. Or if you put it on your leg, it's linked with the gait. So it helps you to lift your foot when you're walking. And again, the literature supports the use of FES and says that even the paper by Miller from 2016 found that FES used for foot drop has a positive initial and ongoing effect on gait. With my colleagues with Milan, we run a study looking at the use of FES for stroke and MS and look at the rate of falls in people with MS and stroke. And again, we found that there was a reduction in falls rate after using FES system. FES system also works for spasticity, so we have reduction in muscle tone after using FES. So that's another thing to look at, you know, that may, as assistive technology, may help you with your exercises. When we talk about exercises, we also talk about exercise for the upper limb. And I have a great example of the paper review and systematic review in stroke population, not in MS, but in stroke population. They use electromechanical robot-assisted arm training, and they found that people improved activities of daily living, and also they improved in relation to function, arm function, and muscle strength of the affected arm. So the literature support the use of assistive technology. When we talk about stroke, I just want to, I know it's a webinar for MS, but just want to kind of tell you about something really interesting happening in England. And it's run by, it's a program run by Professor Nick Ward, who is a neurologist, and he is doing a very intensive upper limb program that consists of 90 hours, 90 hours within 3 weeks. So it's about 30 hours every week of exercises. It's for people with stroke, and it's high intensity, high dosage, intensive program for upper limb rehab. And he found that people improved significantly in relation to muscle strength, in relation to activity of daily living and function of the arm. And those people were not newly diagnosed. Those people were like chronic stroke. So I think the median or mean, if you want to say, if we want to say it, it was around 18 months, so like a year and a half after stroke. So that could even apply for people with MS as well, because it's a progressive condition and you're getting a little bit weaker and worse over the years. So it doesn't need to be for somebody who has been just diagnosed with MS or with stroke. That program applied for people who had a stroke for like at least 1 year and a half, and they found great improvements when they apply very intensive program. So this is kind of a message about the current evidence for technology. Now, I'd like to talk about the main problem that a lot of people consider as a main problem, and which is walking. People with MS say that this is kind of one of the most important activity. And when we look at walking, we're kind of looking what happens with MS. So what happens with MS is like, you know, it affects the central nervous system. It affects your brain and spinal cord. So there is kind of a lack of or delayed message transfer or message conduction between the brain and the muscles. So what happens is that your muscles are getting weaker. Your muscles in your arm, your muscle in your leg getting weaker because of MS. So muscles getting weaker, if they're getting weaker around your leg, especially around your foot, you may develop something what is called a foot drop. So there's a weakness in your muscle around the shin, the muscle that lifts your foot up and help you to clear the ground. If you have a weakness around your knee, then you find it difficult to bend your knee. If you find a weakness around your hip muscles, it's going to be difficult to lift the leg. But let's concentrate around the foot. So if you have a weakness around your shin and the muscles are not lifting your foot correctly up, then you start tripping a little bit more. You start even falling a little bit more because you cannot clear the ground. because you cannot lift the leg high enough. You find it difficult to do the stairs. You find it difficult to take a step over an obstacle. Even the carpet, it may be an obstacle for you because you need to lift that leg a little bit higher to clear the carpet. So you're tripping more, you're falling more. So you're losing confidence. So you feel, oh my God, I cannot go for a walk now to the big shopping hall because there will be a lot of people. I need to walk a lot and my foot is not working well. Or you use a furniture walk. So you start touching and tapping on different furniture around in your house just to give you support. So you're generally losing confidence. When you're losing confidence, you start doing less. You're not going out that often. You're not exercising that often. So you're reducing just general physical activity. When you have low physical activity,
Margaret, how's it going? How are you doing?
You further increase muscle weakness in your legs. So it's a vicious circle for me. So you're getting weaker, you're walking less, you're losing confidence, you're not really physically.
I was wondering where you were going with that.
Mary, we can hear you very well.
No, not at all. Jesus, I have thicker skin than that, Margaret. Don't be daft. It's fine.
Mary.
Sorry, Margaret, I'm going to have to go. I'll talk to you in a second. Bye.
Mary.
Yes,
Mary,
Margaret. Hi, yeah.
Your mic's on.
Yeah, your sound is on.
Okay, sorry, I didn't realise.
Okay.
That's okay. So that's the thing, that there is a vicious circle. We are getting weaker. We need to intervene. We need to do something with this vicious circle. We need to create almost a positive circle. So, of course, exercises play major role. You have to exercise your muscles because that gives them strength and you can do better. But a part of exercise, what else can you do? You can use different assistive technologies to help you with the foot clearance or clearing the ground when you're walking. So you can start with very simple AFO, which is ankle foot orthosis. It's a plastic splint that you put into your shoe. It goes kind of at the back of your calf, goes into your shoe, and it supports your leg, but it keeps it rigid. And as much as I'm not really a big fan of this kind of device because it makes your leg very firm and rigid, and you do not exercise it. So you really need to have a balance. If you have something like that at home, don't use it all the time. Use it when you really need it. Otherwise, your leg is going to get weaker and weaker. There is another thing which is called dictor splint, and some of you have been using it because HSC supplies dictor splints. There is a Saebo step that I'm going to talk to you in a while. That's kind of maybe upgraded, in my opinion, dictor splint. It's with some extra new features that can make your leg feel more comfortable when you're wearing this. Or you may go to more complex assistive technologies like FES system. And I mentioned to you about FES, how it works. There are about 4 different brands on the market at the moment. You have Bioness, you have Walk Aid, you have Oddstock. You probably have heard about these before. And there is a new on the market, FES system called Fesia Walk. And again, I'm going to talk to you about Fesia Walk because it has unique features and completely different features in comparison to our existing FES system on the market. So that's going to be my focus very shortly. So what we need to do, we need to exercise our muscles, but you need to also use assistive technology to be able to go for a walk, to be able to exercise as well. So the first 2 things I'm going to talk to you is a Saebo step and then Fesia Walk. So you have a picture of Saebo step here. Drop brace, very similar to dictor splint. Provides support for walking, provides support for clearing the ground when you're taking a step forward. It has a very unique BOA dye technology. What it means that allows to quickly customize a lift angle of the foot. So it's by just turning the BO system, you can get the lift at the desired angle. So some people need more, some people need less. With the dictor splint, you had those kind of rubber bands, and they were giving you one angle, one lift angle. Here you can customize it. You can make it kind of higher. You can lift your foot higher or lower depending what you need. And it has a very quick release system also for plantar flexion. So I don't really want people to keep the foot toes and foot up all the time. When you're sitting, you can have your foot flat. And now we're just gonna play the video. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, and my colleague will play the video of the Saebo step, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about what we can see there, okay? So I'm gonna stop sharing. Yeah, right, yeah. So this is kind of a Saebo step box. So that's what you get in your box. You're getting a cuff that goes around above your ankle. You get a set of very strong, durable cords. You've got cushions that support your calf, that it's not very, very tight, and you get a set of hooks. So these are the hooks that you put into your shoe eyelets, and then you put the calf, the system around your ankle. You have double support to keep it on the shin, which is a Velcro and the straps. Then you pull the strings down and you put them over the hooks, and then you keep turning the BOA system until you reach the desired angle. So you can have the foot higher or lower depending on your needs. And then by pulling the system out, you can release the lift, and you can keep your foot flat on the ground. So it is, I'm just gonna go back to my presentation. Can people see it? Perfect. So similar to dictor splint, more comfortable with the better support for the shin to stay in the right place. Very durable cords, they're very strong. They're not gonna break easily. One of the other things I want to mention here, the dictor splint, you have this kind of very sharp ending of the hooks that very often hurt your foot. This system has a very different, has screws that are different lengths, and you can basically take a very short screw and attach to your shoe that it's very flat, and it's not gonna hurt your foot when you're wearing this. Really, really nice stuff, and a really comfortable for people with a foot drop if you need help when you're walking. And now I'm gonna talk about something more advanced, which is called Fesia Walk. Okay, so we're moving to maybe high-tech technologies and functional electrical stimulation. A little bit background. So it's a Spanish company, and a big difference in comparison to other devices on the market is that it uses a multi-field FES technology. What it means that you remember the FES system has usually 1 or 2 electrodes that the physio will place around your shin. One goes around the nerve and one goes on the muscle. They may be cloth electrodes or gel electrodes. Some of them you have to use wires to attach, some are wireless. This system, Fesia Walk system, use 20 gel electrodes that will kind of cover the whole area, front and back of your shin. So you not gonna move your the calf around to find the best place for the FES system to be on your leg. The system will automatically screen the area and find the best response for the stimulation. So best position of the electrodes And what you need to do is only increase the intensity. So it will reduce the setting up time. It will be more convenient because you can do it easily at home. You don't need to move that calf around to find the best position for the calf. And another very unique feature of the Fesia Walk is that not all other systems are supporting only dorsiflexion, which means that when it's on, the stimulation helps to contract the muscles to lift your foot up. But when you're walking, there is a moment when your heel leaves the ground and you need to push off. You need to kind of, before you take a step. So Fesia Walk is the only system that also supports the push off, so plantar flexion. And it's very unique because it may help you to get better force and better speed to move your leg forward. It also has a very, it's very universal. So it means that you only need one cuff that fits both right and left leg. And we know that, you know, other devices, usually you needed to purchase two, for the one for right, one for leg. Fesia Walk, the garment is one that fits both right and left. The only thing what you need to purchase separately is the set of electrodes, because you need to have electrodes for your right leg and electrodes for the left leg. It has very robust algorithm to trigger the stimulation and also allows to adapt different gait kind of situations. So when you do the stairs, it will kind of recognize when you need a lift, when you need help with doing the stairs, when you're walking sideways, when you're walking backwards and forward. So this is really, really unique thing. So it has very high selectivity, so it finds the right spot around your shin to stimulate to get the dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. What we're going to do, it's washable, it's very flexible, it's very universal, so you can wash it, and it's not very bulky like other systems, and it's wireless. So I just wanted to point out some differences between the FES system. I generally support the use of FES system because it's a great system to help you with exercises. It's not only helping you to clear the ground, but also it's making your muscles to work hard, because it's asking the muscles to contract and relax, so you're doing exercises. Now I'm gonna stop sharing my screen again, and I want you to see the video of a person wearing Fesia Walk. Okay, I hope you all see it. You know, you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, there is a system turned off, and on the right-hand side, you have a system turned on. You can see the big difference in the lift of the left leg while this person is walking. So it's clearing the ground much easier, and it's kind of very, very beneficial for your gait. Yeah, perfect. I hope you've seen it well and you enjoyed. Okay, so I think that we may have a short break if people have questions now about these things that I've been just talking to you. Is that okay, Mary? Do you want to have a
That's great. Does anybody have any questions at this stage? I think there was just one question that came up in the chat bar. That was from Kay, asking how much do the Fesia?
How much is Fesia?
Fesia, sorry.
We expected these questions, and I think that, you know, the best thing is it is just to, if you link with us, you know, we'll be able to tell you about the price, or link with the linker. You know, it's kind of I would say that it's as expensive as the other stuff, you know. But we just need to maybe talk about it, you know, with each person who wants to know about the price. Okay.
Okay. So maybe I see that Andrea in the chat bar there she's highlighted the contact details of Lincare if anybody's interested, but that'll also be included in the presentation that we'll send.
Yes, yeah. So we have the last slide. Basically, there is an email to me, but I can also kind of send you an email to Linker as a company if you want to contact them directly. But I think you may be contacting me if you need any advice on rehab solutions. So that would be myself to answer all these questions. And there is a link at the end of the presentation.
Good.
Are there any other questions coming through there, I wonder? Anybody else have any questions so far? Or do I hear somebody speaking?
Yeah, that was the main point, the price of the Fesia Walk.
Okay.
It's Nick.
Hi, Nick.
Hi, John. That was the main point. We were just wondering what the price would be.
Okay.
Okay, and does
thanks, Nick. Yeah.
Answer your question then that you'll contact them directly for that kind of information? Yeah. Okay, brilliant.
Thanks, Mary.
No problem.
There's nothing else in the chat box at the moment.
So let's move on, okay, if that's okay with you.
That's fine, yeah. I'm going to mute everybody again. And if you just unmute yourself then, Martin, here we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. Martin, off you go.
Good, yeah, perfect. Okay, so now we're just going to move to something, I think Mary Emilia was talking about the bikes, and motorized bikes and things like that. And I think that regular exercises, walking, staying physically active are very important in maintaining or strengthening your muscles. Exercise is important, walking is important. But if you are finding it difficult to engage in exercise class, or there's no class in your area, or you are staying at home because of the now COVID-19, but in other cases because you can't really move around that much, you may consider using a bike or a motorized bike that you can have at home and use it at home to maintain your basic level of mobility. So I'm going to talk about Motomed now. I'm going to play you some video about Motomed. This is, before we play it, just a little bit information about Motomed. So it's a well-known device. I think, a lot of you have seen it or have tried it. It's on HGC relocation program, which means, that people can ask community physio to be put on the waiting list to get a Motomed. There are specific criteria who can apply for that, but I'm not going to discuss this now with you. But if you're on a waiting list, if you have a progressive condition, you're not able to walk, you may get a Motomed for 3 months to use it at home. And it will allow you to kind of maintain the basic mobility level. It can also help you to stay active and engage in any type of exercises. Now that, and I'm going to discuss this with you and talk to you about Motomed when we're playing this video, okay? So again, I have to stop share and I have to ask my colleague to share the, so can the Motomed Viva 2 Lite. So you can see this Motomed is it's a motorized bike that you can very easily put feet up on the foot shell. You can, I think, play it very slowly. So it gives me plenty of time to talk about this. But you put feet on the foot shells. You can strap it. Yeah, perfect. Then you strap it with this. You strap the feet. You have a support for your calf as well, so it's not falling in, and it keeps. So you have to do the straps on both sides. If you're a little bit stronger, you can put your feet there yourself, but if you need help, it's very easy to put the feet up on the foot shelves. And then you have different options. You have option that you can do passive exercises, that the motorized bike will, the motor of the motormat will do the cycling for you at different speeds, at different resistance. You can also choose an option when you have an active motion, when you are cycling, and you can cycle in different gears. You can cycle, and then you have an idea that you can see if your training was symmetry, if there was any symmetry in your training. So if you push the right leg as hard as your left leg. If you want to use hands, then you just move around, turn the hand trainer towards you. Again, very simply done, and you can have your exercises for your hands. If you find a hand being kind of paralyzed or very weak, there are different solutions to help you. You can have like this one, you can have some fixation of the wrist and the hand on the handle. You can have, if your elbow and the shoulder is even more disabled, you can have a forearm shell that again will help you to keep the hand in the right position. Again, very simple device, but it's gonna help you to keep your mobility up, and both legs and your arms can be very easily exercised. So, so this is our motormat that you can use at home very easily. And like I said, it is on HSC relocation program, and also you can purchase that individually if you don't want to wait, or if you want to have it continuously at home. Okay, so now we're just going to move to assistive technologies for the upper limb, because we spent a bit of time talking about the lower limb, about walking, about exercising your muscles, but I think many of you have problems with your hands, with your arms, and the function of the upper limb and the your ability to do a functional task is extremely important for the quality of your life. Sometimes we don't even think about about importance of the arms. We use them for dressing, we're using for brushing teeth, using hands for feeding ourselves, using hands for reading a paper, making a cup of tea. So the function of our hands is extremely important. And here I would love to talk about a couple of different devices that can help to exercise your hands at home, but also in the community. So I'm gonna talk about things like a Saebo Stretch, Saebo glove, and electrical stimulation that you can really easily apply at home. You can, I'm not sure if you see the video being played on the right-hand side of the screen of a man who is using a glove, and it's combined with electrical stimulation to support his arm and hand extension and flexion. I'm going to talk a little bit in more details about this thing. So we're going to start with Saebo Stretch. So this is very low-tech technology, and it's a splint. It's a dynamic resting splint. I'm not a big fan of using splints during the day, because if you have any energy left, any activity left in your hand, I would love you to be able to use this hand. Use it and try to exercise this hand as much as possible. So ideally, it would be that if you use a splint overnight, and this is the stretch splint kind of designed to use overnight. There's also research supporting the use of splints, but it has to be a prolonged stretch. So the dynamic resting splint is used overnight, and it's the aim of the splint is to prevent any shortening of your long fingers and wrist flexors, or if your fingers flexors are already short, it helps to lengthen them, but it has to be at least 6 hours overnight to get a kind of desired benefit of the splint. So like I said, if it can prevent shortening of the long fingers and wrist flexors, it helps to maintain good passive and active movements. If your muscles are not short, then you can move your hand freely. It also provides nice sensory feedback. We need sensation, we need to feel what we have in our hands, and protects the hand from injury when we sleep overnight. Can be used both in acute and chronic stages, especially when we talk about stroke population, when people just got a stroke and they're very, very flaccid, very floppy, there's no tone. They need to have splint straight away to prevent shortening of the muscles. But also for people with MS, when you feel like your hand is getting tighter and tighter, it's more difficult to open your fingers, more difficult to even wash your hand. You need to have something to support you, but use it overnight. That would be my kind of recommendation, rather than during the day when you can still use the hand for functional tasks. And again, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to play a short video of the Saebo Stretch. Yeah, so it comes with right and left and different sizes. It comes with the medium, the small, medium, and large, extra large size. You have a set of straps to support your forearm, to support your thumb selectively, and your little finger and 3 other fingers. So we know that sometimes the thumb different direction, or little finger can move in different direction. So we want to kind of support these individually. So a system of Velcros, then you put a hand into that splint and you strap each finger and thumb individually. Very easy to do it, very comfortable straps. And then perfect. And you support the little finger now, your hand, and then there will be 2 straps that will support your forearm. A very unique thing about that splint is a dynamic hand piece where the fingers are placed. Very often when you, especially people with stroke and also with MS, when you sneeze, when you cough, your fingers are going to contract. This dynamic piece of the splint will accommodate that. We say that it accommodates associative reactions, or the kind of extra reaction that should not happen there. And it will bounce the fingers back into extension, so it keeps your wrist in a neutral position or in a little bit extension, so your fingers are not getting contracted, and it's much easier to use them later on. That's great. So that's the Saebo Stretch. And now we go back to the presentation again, and we will just move to the next product. So this is more functional product. It's a Saebo glove. So Saebo Stretch was to keep your hand in a neutral position and prevent any shortening of the muscles or lengthening the muscles that are already short. Saebo glove is used to exercise your hand. So can be used both, again, in acute settings and in chronic settings, in acute situation and in chronic situation. But we have to take into account the level of tightness in your hand. So we call it spasticity. If your hand is very, very tight, you won't be able to use the Saebo glove because you won't be able to put the fingers into the glove. So your spasticity has to be mild, and you should have no contractures, and you should be able to follow very simple commands to do the exercise. But this is very much functional device. If you have to have ability to squeeze or to flex your fingers. It doesn't need to be a very strong flexion, but you have to be able to initiate and flex your fingers. If you don't have that ability, you can use some kind of electrical stimulation around your forearm here to get your flexors to squeeze, because the main aim of the Saebo glove is to support your hand and wrist and finger extension. And we're going to play the video now when I explain how it works. So you have, again, different sizes, right and left. You have a plastic splint and the liner, and you have a set of rubber bands or elastic bands that you will be putting between each joint to get that extension in your fingers. So your hand has to be relaxed. You should have no high tone and no contractures. You slide all the fingers and the thumb into the liner. You have to be sure that they go all the way down so they well placed. Then you strap your hand and your forearm. Again, I tried this splint with a lot of stroke patients, and they were able to do it independently when the tone wasn't very high. And then you apply a set of rubber bands, tensioners, between each joint and between the fingers and the wrist. And these bands will, first of all, provide some resistive training if you want to flex your fingers, but at the same time, when you stop flexing your fingers, it will allow to open your hand. You can see that you go down, and then that index finger is definitely going higher than the rest of them. We only put the bands here at that index finger. You can see how the bands are placed. You can put double bands to have more support to open your hand. It's so important for you to be able to open your hand and reach for a glass, for a cup of tea, or reach for a bottle, reach for anything. So you need to have that extension pattern in your hand. And the Saebo glove, very much a functional device, assistive technology that should be part of your rehabilitation program for your hand, and use it very, very often during the day. Okay. And we back to the presentation, and we talk about one more thing for the hand here, and this is going to be electrical stimulation, not functional electrical stimulation, but general electrical stimulation. And I chose this product because it's so patient friendly. It's so simple in use. It's called Saebo Steam Go. It's so simple in use that you have one button that you just press, and that turns on the system. There's a second button that you increase or decrease intensity. There's only one program. It's a wireless system. You can get a system in large and small option. You use the reusable gel pads. You can put the Saebo Steam Go everywhere in your body. So it's not only for your wrist, but you can also exercise your biceps. You can also exercise your shoulder. You can exercise your glutes, your quadriceps, your lower limb. You can put the system everywhere in your body. Use for shoulder subluxation when you have muscle atrophy or weakness, to improve your range of movement. And before we play the video, there is, so this is a Saebo Steam Go, is a version for the home users and users. But we also have a Saebo Steam Pro, which is used for clinicians. It's a little more complicated with the wires, but it still can be, of course, used at home. The unique thing about that, it's very similar to the Neurotech. You may have heard about Neurotech. It's electrical stimulation. But this has a trigger button, and that's what I like, because it almost falls under functional stuff, because when you press the button, it triggers the stimulation. When you stop pressing the button, it stops the stimulation. So you can almost put that in a kind of activity that you press the button to open your hand, you reach for a glass, then you stop pressing the button, then you can squeeze it, and then you can bring the glass towards you. You can trigger the button again to open. So this is kind of called Saebo Steam Pro, used mostly in clinical settings, but also available for home users. But this Saebo Steam Go, definitely a great piece of equipment that can be used so easily at home. And we're gonna play the video now to show you how simple it is to put it and use it. So Saebo Steam Go comes in a one pack. And what you have here is me trying to put it on and off, you know, of the table now. I'm doing the right. So you have small pads, small wings, and you also have a bigger mode that you can use it for leg, for example. You have a charging system, which is a USB system that you just charge it, you know, through your laptop. You take the covers of the electrodes, you put the system simply on the, here in this case, on the forearm to stimulate the extensors. Press the button, hold until you hear the first beep, and then you keep pressing the button to increase the intensity until your hand comes up. The stimulation lasts for 8 seconds, and then there is a break for another 8 seconds. So you can exercise your muscles. You can also use it for functional tasks if you wanted to do it. But a very simple device, very patient friendly. Definitely recommend it to have it at home if you want to exercise your muscles and if you want to kind of get your muscles stronger. Excellent. So yeah, so if we want to have again a break, we can have it. I have 2 more things to talk to you about. So I'm just wondering, Mary, if we need a break or if we go ahead with the 2 more slides and then we can have a longer break for questions.
And what does everybody want to do? Maybe if people feel that they need a short comfort, do you mean like a comfort break, Martin?
Well, it depends what people want. You know, I have actually 2 more things to talk to you and play maybe 2 more videos. So it's going to be another maybe 10, 15 minutes to stay with me. If people have any questions now or they want to go to toilet, I'm kind of thinking almost an hour.
So maybe if a few people could just indicate in the chat bar if they feel like they need a comfort break, and then a comfort break for 5 minutes and then come back, or they'd like to just keep going. We have somebody there already that said they'd like to keep going. So if a few more people could just respond, we'd have better sense. Keep going, keep going.
Yeah, I'd like to keep
Okay.
going too.
Okay, so it seems that people are happy enough to keep going.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great, Martin.
That's fine, perfect. So we're just gonna keep going, okay? And I will be talking now about, remember at the very beginning of this presentation, this webinar, I talked to you about the standing frame program run by Professor Jenny Freeman in England, and that she found beneficial, she found improvements in motor function of people with progressive type of MS when they were using frame. And this is kind of, we knew that standing is very, very beneficial. We know that standing will help to strengthen your muscles, especially your anti-gravity muscles. When you're in a standing position, you have to contract your glutes, you have to contract your quadriceps, you know, just to keep you standing. It also provides a prolonged stretch. So if you're standing for 30 minutes or 40 minutes, you're stretching your muscles that usually are very tight because you've been sitting all day, maybe or half of the day, you know, in a wheelchair or in a chair. It has great impact on benefit, you know, kind of positive impact on respiratory system, on your breathing. You can imagine seating is making the chest very compressed. You know, when you're standing, suddenly your diaphragm, your breathing muscle can move much easier, and you can breathe much easier in a standing position. We talk a lot about osteoporosis and kind of prevention of osteoporosis, and one of the big things is just, you know, to prevent it, you have to be in a standing position to put some force through your joints, through your muscles. So standing again will help people to slow down the progression of osteoporosis or maybe prevent it. You have improvements in bowel and bladder function as well. It's much easier to go to the toilet. You don't need to go that often to the toilet. So definitely some benefits of that, and preventing, and we can prevent contractures muscle contractures when we are standing and exercising. So Professor Jenny Freeman published this paper, and she suggested that we should be using standing frames at least for at least 3 times weekly for at least 30 minutes daily. I found a review from 2015. They looked at other conditions, neurological conditions, and they recommended even more, 4 to 6 times a week with minimum of 30 to 60 minutes of standing. So definitely frames are beneficial, and we should be doing more of this. And because it can be used very easily at home, I think it's something to really consider when you are in a situation when you can't really move and stand yourself. And we'd love to play a video and show you, you know, one of the frames that we have here, that it's really, really helpful to maintain and all these benefits. So it's very easy to yourself towards this seat from a wheelchair. This one we have, this is kind of manufacturing design in Italy, have electric seat lift that goes to standing position. You can have a belted version of that standing frame, which means that you feel a little bit more supported. But I've tried it myself, and tried with a lot of spinal cord injury patients and MS patients, and they found it very safe to be seated and supported. So you just use you just standing up very easily. You have a lot of adjustments that you can make here. You can move the table forward and back depending how close you want to have it towards you. You can tilt it depending what you want to do. You have a knee support that, again, you can move from side to side. You can move forward and back. So it can really be very comfortable. Sometimes I find that people complain about standing in something that is not comfortable, and it's not going to motivate them to keep standing. You can adjust, you know, the foot shell. You can adjust a lot of stuff to make that standing comfortable and prolonged, because that's the message. You need to be standing many times for at least 30 to 60 minutes, you know, every second day at least, you know. So it has to be comfortable, and also it has to be done in a safe way, and for most of you it can be done independently. So something to consider, and there is a research that really supports that, the use of standing frames for people with progressive form of MS. And I have one more thing just to talk to you, and I'm really, really excited about that, because this is kind of one of the main reasons why I joined Linker, you know, a year ago. I'd like to talk to you about the MOLLE suit. Okay, you probably see this kind of astronaut stuff that was Mary talking about. There's some kind of astronaut uniform or outfit at the back. So it's a suit that we use to treat high tone, or we treat spasticity. We're just going to play very quickly a short clip just to show you how it looks, kind of a little bit closer view of the suit, so you can see it has a jacket. It consists of a jacket and a control unit, detachable control unit, and trousers. When I brought it to my house once to try it on, my kid told me that it looked like a Halloween costume or skeleton. That's fine, you know, but that it works, you know, so it doesn't matter how it looks, it matters what it does. So yeah, so this is MOLLE suit. So this is a garment that use electrical stimulation. It's non-invasive device. Includes 58 dry electrodes, and the electrodes are embedded, and they can be individually programmed and can stimulate up to 40 key muscles. It uses very low frequency, so the feeling of when you're wearing it is very comfortable. It's not like feeling the muscles are going to contract and relax. It's a constant current at a very low frequency. You may feel a bit of tingling sensation, nothing more than that. It's used to treat spasticity. And of course, when I researched the area of spasticity or high tone, I found that approximately 80% of people with MS have varying degrees of varying levels of spasticity. It's a condition in which some certain muscles are continuously contracted, and you cannot really release the tension there or relax. It causes stiffness and tightness of your muscles, and then that leads to problems with moving your leg or moving your arm or even moving your trunk forward and back. also it's really affecting your gait and maybe affecting your speech. There are different options for treating spasticity. So there is, of course, there are exercises that are brilliant. Weight-bearing exercising using physio, using OT approach. You can use baclofen pump. You can use medications like Botox injections to reduce the tightness. You can also go for surgery in kind of situation when you need to go for surgery to release the tension. But you can also try Molly Suit, which is non-invasive and can be done at home. It's a garment that you wear for 1 hour every second day. Physio will do the assessment of which muscles are tight and which muscle we need to stimulate. We use a mechanism called reciprocal inhibition, and I know it's a kind of a physio word, you know, but what it really means is like if your biceps is very tight and you find it very difficult to reach for anything, we will be stimulating your triceps, because that stimulation will travel to the spinal cord and will come back to your bicep and will inhibit the tension. So that's the physiological mechanism of using Molly. We are inhibiting the spastic muscle using the electric current, very low frequency electric current. It comes in different sizes. So we've been seeing a lot of kids with cerebral palsy, a lot of kids with different conditions, also people with MS, also people with stroke, people who have a lot of tightness. On the other hand, very recently, we've been informed and we've seen research about using Molly for pain reduction. So you may have pain that originates in somewhere, you know, and you try to take painkillers, it doesn't help. Molly has ability to reduce the pain. There is one study that looked at it's called VAS scale. It's a verbal analog scale for pain, and asked 300 people to score the pain. And on average, they were around 7, 8 on that scale before the Molly stimulation. 1 hour later, they went down to 3, 4 on that scale. So almost 50% improvement within 1 hour. And I always say the beauty of Molly is that you can see it straight away if it works. It doesn't, you don't need to wait 2, 3 weeks before the Botox injection starts or still start working. You can see it really straight away after using Molly. It doesn't treat everybody, but so far I've seen so many people with MS and they really, really benefited from using Molly. We're going to play you 2 videos now. And these 2 people are actually MS patients, and one of them is female with MS, and she's from Ireland. She's in Ireland. She's now having this shoot for a trial, for a month trial. And I'm going to show you the second video. It's a generic video from another person with MS who is walking the stairs, and we're going to look at the balance and also at the quality of the movement. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to play these 2 videos for you now. So this is a person who is using, so on the left hand side you can see a person without and before Molly, and on the right hand side you can see a person with after 1 hour stimulation. You can see the quality of the movement, how she approaches the step, you know. It's not brilliant, but the difference is huge. The difference is significant, how she stepped up first with less effect, then more effect. We play it again, if you don't mind. Just have a look at, so first less affected side, and then she followed with the affected side, much easier after 1 hour stimulation. And look at the posture, how she steps down, and now affected side, the affected right leg, and then less affected follows. So for me, it's a big, big difference. And that happened after 1 hour of stimulation. She also improved greatly on speed and quality of walk. We did a very simple test, which is a 10-meter walk test and 5 times sit to stand. Within 1 hour, she was so quick, so better in comparison to the first, before we used the Molly. Now we're going to play the second video of person walking up and down the stairs. And again, look at the pace, look at the balance, look at how how the confidence is when she tries to do it. And it's again, on the left-hand side, there is a before, and then on the right-hand side, it's after. So look at the hands, she has to keep them really wide to balance herself. On the post-Molly stimulation, she's so confident, she does it so quickly, she keeps the balance. So it's very obvious that something is happening with your body within that hour, and we know what happens. We're reducing the tone in your muscles, so you have less. You have less tightness. You have more energy. You have fluent movement. You have better range of movement. You need to exercise still. You need to do more often. It's not going to cure you, but it gives you the possibility to do things right, to move correctly, to be less tired when you're walking, to preserve energy for something else, rather than thinking continuously about bending the knee, lifting the leg, trying to do it. Molly will reduce the tone, I would say balance the tone, to make it more normal for you to use your legs in a more efficient way. So I'm really, really excited about this product. I think this is something that I've never seen before and can really help with treating spasticity and maybe bring you out of the hospitals, bring you into your own community, your own home, that you can have a treatment there. So think about that, and I would definitely like you to try it at some point. If you want, we have a free trial for people with MS. If they want, for everybody in Ireland, if somebody wants to try this, you have to get in touch with me, and we can organize a free demo at home with you, because it's very unique garment. It's something that I've never seen before, and it does so well. And we have so much improvement across different populations, not only MS, but also spinal cord injury patients, CP kids, and sometimes even for those who have very floppy muscles, very low tone, it does something to bring the balance into the muscles. So the message to take home is that intensity, really, frequency and time of therapy matters. So once a week is good, but if you can do 2-3 times a week, you can get better, and assistive technology can really enhance the dosage of rehab. So you can have some of these equipments at home, and you can do it at home more often. We have to combine with the kind of active task therapy, which is in functional therapy. So it's not just keeping your leg in one position, it's walking around, having assistive technology on your leg to get the benefit of walking and get the benefit of being there. It's very patient friendly. Most of them are very patient friendly, very simple in use, and they can definitely improve adherence to therapy. So when you see the benefits, when you see that it's comfortable to wear it, when you know that it's easy to put it on, it's easy to operate, you don't need to call physio to put it on, and you will do it more often, and you can do it at home. So I know that we have another 10, 20, maybe 100 other devices out on the market, but I would not be able to talk about everything. We have new things coming up on the market that I'm really, really excited about. Maybe we'll organize something again to talk about other bits that we have, other devices that will be available in Ireland for you. But I'd like to now thank you for being with me today, for listening to me. You can see my email is there, martin@linker.ie. If you want to get in touch with me, we will just provide you with the email to Linker and the phone number to Linker if you want to discuss anything, especially the price and the cost of equipment is just, you need to talk to our team here. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, John, for organizing this. Thank you all to being around here for that 1 hour, and I got 17. So not too bad, because I think we started a little bit late, 11 o'clock. So I'm within my time frame, about 1 hour and about 5-10 minutes, longer. Yeah.
That's great, Martin. Thanks very much. There's certainly a lot to take in there, and a lot of learning for me personally, as I'm sure there was for everybody else.
Yeah.
I just noticed there's a question came in there from Margaret. What would you recommend for foot drop for use while sleeping?
Well, I wouldn't recommend anything to wear when you're sleeping. I see the idea is that if you are if your leg is very, very tight, then you need to think about something to stretch it, to stretch the leg, when you're sleeping. So some kind of splint maybe. But I think that we need to always remember that you have to keep your foot in neutral position. As really sleeps with the foot completely in dorsiflexion or completely flat. We usually have our foot in a relaxed position. So do not exaggerate the dorsiflexion. So don't put anything that it's gonna completely in one direction, because you'll be stretching one muscle, you'll be shortening the other muscle much. Okay? So I personally don't recommend anything to wear overnight for the foot, but if you do something, you can have something as like a splint, to wear overnight. But keep the foot. Don't exaggerate the bend in any direction.
That's great. Thanks very much, Martin. Any other questions coming in there? I saw some comments, not necessarily questions, all positive, which is good.
Okay. I have a question, please. Does the Saebo step have to be prescribed by a doctor?
No.
And
No, so the Saebo step, Saebo steam, Saebo glove, they don't need to be prescribed by a doctor. It's good to have a physio on board, because, I have to tell you this, we send or we ship this stuff, to people, get the measurements right, so people get the measuring kind of form when they need to kind of measure the size of the hand, for example, for the stretch or for the glove. So they need to do some measurements to get to give us some estimate the size of the hand. But for foot, that splint that brace is kind of one size, so you don't need to have this stuff prescribed by physio or doctor. No.
And continuing on from that, are the little eyelets that attach to the shoe, are they interchangeable, or can it only, can you only fix them permanently?
You in the box you're getting, I think, 2 sets of these hooks, and screws, that you are attaching to the eyelets of your shoe, and so you can have it, in 2-3 different shoes, at different level. And also there is, I think, the small thing, that the kit you can purchase individually if your shoes have no eyelets. If there are no laces there, you can get something also to put them to kind of more casual shoes, something like that. You can do that, as well, But there is a set of, I think, 3 at least hooks, 2 in each pack, so you can have 2 shoes ready for walking. You
Okay,
can buy
thank you very much.
more if you want. Yeah.
I think we have some more questions coming in there. Oh no, we don't. We have comments. Thanks, Andrea, for sharing those contact details there on the chat bar. Hopefully everyone's seen those as well. There's Linka's contact details are up there in the chat. It's also in your presentation as well, Martin, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't hear you. Sorry, Mary, I didn't hear you well. There was some kind of.
There was some interference there, was there?
Interference,
Yeah.
Okay. So we don't have any other questions coming in. I think the key message is that if you do have any questions, that you get in touch with Linka directly, and those contact details are there and on the presentation. I think it's probably a good place to finish there. John, have you anything that you want to share or to add? I think John's internet is playing up.
No, just to say thanks very much to Martin. Yeah, just to say thanks very much to Martin and to the Link Care team. It was really interesting stuff. You know, I mean, it's great for us as community workers to know what's out there as well. So thanks very much, guys.
Yeah, I think, you know, what is really important is that people know what's out there on the market, you know, that they can make own decisions about stuff, but they need to be informed, you know, you guys need to know what's available, and then you make your own decision if you want to contact us, if you want to purchase something, if you want to try something. But at least now you know that there are different things that can help you with your hand movement, with other stuff, and now decision is of course yours, you know, and what you do next, you know, what you want to do next you. But I think it's really important to inform people about this stuff.
Okay, that's great. Thanks very much, everybody, for logging in. Do keep in touch. Keep in touch and stay kind of looking at your emails and social media, because if we are running any other event like this, that's most likely where we're going to advertise. And in the times that we're in, this is how we're going to be doing our work in the short to medium term, really. Just to reiterate, John and I are still working. We're still taking calls. We're still providing support where we can, and we're still doing our very best to create opportunities for people to connect, albeit online, but it's still a connection. So I hope you all stay well and safe, and thanks very much for participating.
That was great. Very
Bye.
much.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Interesting.
Okay, Martin, I'm going to end the meeting now, if that's okay with you.
Perfect. Yeah, I hope it went fine, and
It was
you
brilliant.
happy with
It
that?
was really, really good. I learned loads, actually. The Mollies, it was really, really interesting.
Great.
Brought it to life for me, because I know you've spoken about it before.
Mary, do I need to read that Zoom group chat, you know, to see if or people will go to me directly if they have any questions? Yeah.
Yeah. So anything that came up, Andrea was responding to, and you addressed it in the you addressed it during the presentation. So I don't think there's anything outstanding in it. I'd say you may get some contacts afterwards, though.
Can we get a copy of this? You know, the recording.
Yeah. It'll be next week, if that's okay.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. You know.
Perfect.
I'm not gonna watch over, you know. I'm not gonna do over, you know. I don't like watching me over, you know. So that's.
It's awful. It's awful. I had to do it there last week. Oh, it wasn't nice. Anyway, I'm going to stop the recording now. I should have done it already.